All right, folks, here's a piece that we don't see too often. We get some of these the episode 1 figures in from time to time. The episode 1 was fun because it was the first time in years and years and years that we'd seen a new movie, new characters. Everybody was really excited about it. It could not possibly live up to the hype that surrounded it, for those of you who remember back then. But it tried where it could. And what they did was they tried to make toys that would sort of match that. I'm going to show you the size marker right here. So they went all out with the technology that was available at that time, and they tried to add voice activation to it. So when you took one of these characters, he'd have a little disc or a little bass, and then you'd put that on here, and it would speak in his voice. The Simpsons had done it with their technology. Who makes those? Was it Playmates? I believe that was Playmates made the Simpsons characters before they lost the license years and years back. So it was a neat technology. It was bulky as anything. G.I. Joe tried it a little bit, and it did not go over very well there. For whatever reason, it just did not catch on. Now I'm sure there'd be all kinds of web interfaces, etc. But you got to give them credit for the effort, and this was what would allow it to speak. Look at the size of it. Bulky and giant and huge, and nobody was actually taking the time to do that. Plus, it kind of looked like a something, I don't know. But we don't see these too often. For as often as we'll get episode 1 toys in from consigners, we don't actually get this. So this is kind of neat. We don't see it too often, and maybe you don't have one. Maybe you've got plenty of these lying around, and you've never actually gotten a chance to see that sound chip technology. Now's your chance. So I'm going to show you the front. We got some pictures from the catalog. It's got this weird dog chain or dog tag chain to it. It tried to be a little handheld thing that you could get some play action out of, and I'm sure kids did, but it wasn't really obvious. And then the back. So again, ball and chain to wear all your CommTech chips. I'm sure there were kids walking around looking like Mr. T with their Star Wars chips, I guess. I don't know. And then a belt clip. So it was a really nice try, and it just did not work out. Check this out. This is an FAO Schwartz label. We don't see those too often. FAO Schwartz has left us. It comes back as kind of a pop-up from time to time. But sadly, in the way that it was back then, is no longer around. And even then, wow, $30 in 1998 money? Well, that probably explains why we didn't see too many of these. $30 was a lot of money back then. So it's interesting to see this. But overall, a pretty cool piece. Now, I'm going to show you the condition of it, because that's what we do in these condition reports. Show you a little bit of waviness on the card, including some stress marks right there that I suspect bleed through. Yes. So we see that same stress mark over there, which means that card, probably somebody grabbed it like that. I do want to point out that this bubble has some yellowing. Well, of course it does. It's 23 years old. But it is not brittle. I'll check it again. It has this one bend in it right here that I'll show you in a moment. But I don't feel any cracks, and surprisingly I don't feel any of these dents as often happen. Even right here where it's bent a little bit, it has not cracked. The plastic is still mostly supple. It does not have the kind of brittleness that the yellow plastic will get, so all around a pretty cool piece. So if you don't have this in your collection, you're missing out. Even if you don't have a lot of these episode 1 figures, this is just such a rarity. We don't get that in too often, and it was such a piece of toy history that they tried this. They failed, I think. I feel that they failed on that. You may think differently, perhaps. But it was an interesting attempt, and you got to give them credit. You got to give the folks at Hasbro, and were they still using the Kenner? No, they wouldn't have been by 98. But you got to give the folks at Hasbro credit that they tried this at least, even if it didn't go over very well. I think it was a really neat piece and a way to kind of expand the idea of what a toy is. So head on over to TheBigToyAuction.com. You can get this and all the other items we've got available for you. You can leave your pre-bids right here, right now, by pressing the buttons, or join us again on auction day where you can defend your bids and be sure to take this guy home and put it in your collection today. Either way, we look forward to seeing you at the auction.